Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/Pettyrevenge. I, and a friend, crop dusted a table because they made our server cry. It was my friend's birthday and a group of us had planned to take him out to his favorite restaurant. When we get there, party of 8, we are sat near a smaller table full of dudes who fit the stereotype of dude brothers. After roughly 5 minutes we discovered that they were going to be a problem. They are pretty loud and rude, giving their server a hard time. Soon our server came and it was the same girl who was serving the rude table. She apologized for the wait and made a comment about how she had a lot on her plate. We tell her it's fine and we understand. She takes our drink orders and gives us some more time to pick our food. A few more minutes go by and then we hear yelling. From what we gathered, one of the dudes wanted a drink, alcoholic, but didn't bring his ID. The server was doing her best to remain calm and keep control over the situation. He kept gesturing to his phone and we heard the server. "I'm sorry, but I can't accept a screenshot." Finally one of his friends steps up and says he'll buy the drink for him. The server does her best to explain that he can't, it's illegal and she could get in big trouble for it. Dude 2 then gets upset and now the whole table is in an uproar. Finally the server says that she'll get her manager, and quickly leaves in tears. The birthday boy is pissed and says he's going to say something. Lucky his girlfriend stops him. That's when another friend smirks and says, "I have a better idea. We'll call him Jack." Jack goes, "I have to fart." Being on the same wavelength I smile and go, "So do I." Jack, "Are we going to crop dust this table?" Me, "I think we are." The rude table is located in a way that you'd have to walk by them to get to the bathroom, and you can walk either to left or right of the table. Jack stands up first and makes his way to the bathroom. When he disappears around the corner, that's when the effects hit. At first the dudes think it's hilarious, pointing out one particular guy and placing the blame on him. He doesn't think it's so funny and is steadily getting mad. That's when I step up. I make my way to the bathroom, passing on the opposite side of the table that Jack did. When I clear the corner, Jack is standing there with a eating grin. We stand there and listen to the true chaos begin. The rude table doesn't find the second crop dusting as funny as the first one. They're now yelling and pointing fingers at one another. The icing on the cake is when the manager finally comes over. He tells them that they're being too loud and they're going to have to leave if they don't calm. They're pissed and then start complaining about their server. Jack and I can't see the manager's face, but he was quiet for a good minute before he starts talking again. He has to explain the law to them when it comes to alcohol, adding on that the table can't be served alcohol at all due to Dude 2's comment about buying it for someone else, since they can't confirm that the person who is going to drink it is 21. They're super pissed at that but still stay. They get a new server who is a very buff man with a face that says F***CK around and find out. They spend the rest of their time there with basically their heads down in shame. Next story. I'm a 30-year-old tattletale. So my husband and I kept hearing a bang in the evening at random hours, between about 6 to 10 p.m. It would wake us up sometime or get our dogs going crazy. We had no idea what it was. I even called out a plumber since we have had some plumbing issues in the past and didn't know what else it could be. Finally, the Ring camera caught something. A young boy, probably between 8 to 11, was running up and kicking our house. Like hard. This bang was so loud I thought it was our trash cans knocking into the house or a bad plumbing issue. But a goddamn kid deciding to do karate kicks and outrun my Ring camera was not what I expected. Okay, so I decided to do a few things. Put up a motion light, which I almost fell off a ladder doing and broke another light in the process. Between this and the plumber coming out, I'm in about $200 because of this effort. Second, I wrote a note and taped it to the glass. He seemed tall enough to read. The note said, "To the child kicking our door. We know who you are. We have you on camera every time. We told your parents. We will contact the police next time. Please stop scaring our dogs." I'm bluffing because I want him to stop. I cannot figure out his motive except to cause chaos in my household, so I needed to try to scare him. So last 2 weeks, nothing. I figured my note and light worked and the effer was scared. I took the note down last night. Then tonight, bang. The loudest one yet. What the F? I go outside because I'm mad now. And I see a children's mermaid kickball in my front yard. I'm keeping it. The effer kicked it into my car. I see no kids. I'm so angry. I kick the ball into my fenced-in backyard and go back inside. About 30 minutes goes by and I hear another bang. I look out the window and I see this little crap running down the street laughing. I am furious. I'm about the size of Sydney Sweeney if she was also an Adam Sandler type woman. I'm wearing cute polka dot Victoria's Secret PJs and I just did my everything shower with an at-home blowout. I'm in no mood. I push my husband out of the way and put on my running sneakers with no socks. I book it down the street and I see the little crap stain run inside a house. I run up the driveway and kindly question some younger girls, his sisters, to find out where his parents were. They said his mom was in the backyard. I went back there and told her straight up, "Your son has been kicking my house for 2 months, I have it on video, he's scaring my dogs, ask him to stop." She said okay and thank you. I said thank you and left. As I walked home I see my husband running up to me because he didn't know where I went. I told him I handled it. Then, as if on cue, I hear the loud whining of what sounded like a young boy between 8 to 11 finally getting justice served. I've never met this kid in my life. I want to know why. Why did he target us? Did I wrong him? Or was he just a random crazy kid? Sometimes life is chaos. Update, this crap is called the Door Kick Challenge on TikTok. Thank you to the comment who said their HOA mentioned it in their newsletter. For once, I don't have the urge to fist fight the HOA. Also thank you everyone for the validation of my evening child chase down. After living here for a few years, defending my land from a tiny trespasser really transformed me into a homeowner, rather than feeling like just a kid that owns a home. Sometimes the power of the internet community can be a beautiful thing. Next story. Want to put me on performance review for having cancer? Okay. Sorry, this is a long one, and happened a few years ago. After several checks, it was confirmed I had cancer and had to be in hospital for a while. I worked in recruitment, and to my knowledge, to my face/in calls to me anyway, my company was supportive of my battle. Whilst at home recovering from an op that I had to have to remove the cancer and to help with recovery, I kept on working/kept up with my clients etc. Even though I took 3 months off unpaid leave, I just wanted to show my company that although I was off, like I asked for cancer or something, and also wanted to show them that I was grateful of their support and understanding of what I was going through. During this time I made several high-profile placements, and due to most having long notice periods, technical directors etc., they wouldn't start for a few months and we invoice/bill clients on start date. The pipeline I had generated was worth $200,000 in a single month, which was the highest ever in the 10-year history of the company. A very good month would be about $20K, $30K generated. When I came back, I had a meeting with the director, and I was about to thank him for his support etc. and to excitedly tell him about my pipeline. However, before I could, he said he was happy I was healthy. However, he had to put me on performance review for missing a critical time in the business and for not hitting my targets. I looked at him and said, as you know, I had cancer and also took the time off as unpaid. Director, yes, however not meeting KPIs whilst still employed by us means I have to do this to be fair to others in the team. I looked at him shocked, but then did the math in my head, and just said okay. Now it takes about 30 days for payment to hit our accounts. So I bid my time. That week the first batch of my new placements dropped. I quietly invoiced. The next week more followed. Third week our division had our monthly meeting where we each have to share the pipeline for that month. It got to me, and I said, I'm currently on $161,000, and have another $40,000 pending. You should have seen his face. His boss was at that meeting also. Most of my team knew what had happened to me and had my back and smirked. We got paid commission monthly, and I knew I had another 5 weeks before these would be paid out. So I just quietly worked, and luckily was also approached by one of my internal clients that wanted me to come work internally for them. I am actually still with them to this day. As soon as that wedge of commission dropped, I called a meeting with the director. He was all smiles and said, okay, I knew there would be no hard feelings about having to put you on performance review, and we are taking you off it. I see now it was completely unnecessary. I told him thanks, but I was giving him my notice. I said that, having gone through the stress of what I had to go through, really made me think what was important at the end of the day. He and his boss apparently did not know about the performance review, to know if true or not, tried to make me stay by offering raises and promotions, etc. I, of course, refused. A couple of people I know are still there, and to this day, my record of highest biller in that company still stands. Edits: I didn't want to make this long, but I did answer some questions in the comments, but thought it would be best to add. Edit 1, I would never put a candidate there, nor would I ever recommend anyone to work at this agency. Several people did leave after I did. Only around 3 people from when I was there remain, not counting the directors/owners. I guess they have their reasons, money being one. I went to work internal for a big global who my old agency wanted to be sole external recruitment partner for. It was funny when they found out I was going there. I have final say on who we use, and I have refused and said no to this agency every time, thus took away one of their biggest clients, that I looked after whilst there anyway. Edit 2, I now look after the recruitment of the business groups in the industry that my current company that this agency recruits in. When I started, the director of the agency called me and said, "It's great that you are there as we can continue to foster a special relationship." I said, "Thank you. However, I know I just started here and so need to get the lay of the land. Also, part of their remit of hiring me is to look at agency spend, which has been high. So I guess it makes sense to hire me, ha. When they tried sending me candidates, they were candidates that I and the team had already approached, and so I told them that and that it looks like we are on top of things now. Thanks for their help, but it's no longer needed. Edit 3, when the director found out I started at the new company, he gave me a glowing endorsement on LinkedIn. He then asked me for one back in response. I left that on read. Edit 4, yes, maybe I should have looked at it a bit more, re being paid/unpaid leave/going on commission base only, etc. At the time I was reeling at being told I had ovarian cancer and what needed to be done, thinking about my young son and what/if would happen to him if I was no longer around. I was thinking about doing what I could whilst I still could, that would make people's lives bearable if I was no longer around. It's hard to explain the thought process one has, and maybe I was taken advantage of. But I beat my cancer and to this day feel like I managed to get the last laugh on them. Not only did I leave on my terms, but they also have a reminder of that record-breaking sales tally until someone manages to break it. Next story. Airport justice. Not my revenge, but some justice. I was flying solo in my early 20s, at a small airport in Europe, waiting to pass through security in the very early morning. Because of the time, the line for security was not too long, maybe 20 or so people waiting. I was only traveling with a large backpack. There was only one agent serving the whole line. There was a couple queued behind me with a big rolling suitcase which they were pushing in front of them. As the line crawled forward and I took a few steps forward to close the gap, the woman pushing her suitcase rammed it into the back of my legs. At first I didn't react because accidents happen and I wasn't injured or anything. But then it happened again. And again. Every time the line moved and I followed, I would get rammed by their suitcase. I was not slowing them down or in their way, I was literally just ahead of them in line. I chose to walk the path of peace and just tried my best to dodge them ramming me, at times just staring at them while they did it. They saw me reacting, they just kept doing it. I did not speak the language they did, but they were basically muttering and grumbling to each other. I'm assuming they were complaining about the wait. But Jesus, hurting a random stranger won't speed things up. My best guess is they were trying to bait me into a conflict? Who knows? A few times that they hit me, I had looked up at the airport agent and made eye contact. I could tell they saw what was happening between me and these a-holes. Also, not one person in line had been pulled aside for extra screening. It was finally my turn to go through security. I walked through no problem. Then got the sweet satisfaction of watching the a-holes behind me get stopped and directed into the extra full search room. In my heart I felt like the airport agent was getting revenge for me. Next story. I one-upped my snobby cousin's phone model. I, M16, have a cousin, F16, who had always looked down on me and my family. We don't have much money and can't afford things like holidays or anything expensive. She has always gotten everything she could ever want from her parents. We grew up together and she had made fun of me for this for my whole life, even though it shouldn't matter in the slightest. When I was 14, my phone had pretty much stopped working. The screen would freeze and ghost tap often, as well as needing to restart to charge. I saved for a new phone for a year. At the end of the year, I researched a phone to buy. I like to take pictures, so a good camera was important to me. I decided I wanted an iPhone 13 Pro Max, same model as my cousin. I had never had an iPhone before. This was around the time the iPhone 14 released. I had a look but couldn't afford anything more than the standard model, so decided not to, as they're basically the same phone. I very proudly told her I had saved enough to get a new phone, and she asked me what model I was thinking of. I told her I was planning to buy the 13 Pro Max. She did that thing where she scoffed at the same time as holding a laugh while looking me up and down. I hadn't felt bothered about her doing this for years, but for some reason this pissed me off so much. When ordering my phone, I decided to buy the 14. Not because it's better, but because I knew it would irritate her, and it was only a £10 difference. It arrived a week later, and when she seen it, she looked pissed. She spent a while trying to convince me her phone is somehow better, there's no difference. She didn't speak to me for a while, over a phone. Cousin smashed hers so her dad would buy her the 15. She did not get the 15. I've still got my phone over a year later and she's going strong. Best purchase ever. It's more petty than revenge, but I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel our posts.